Hi everybody, this is Rich from trekwithus.com, and today I'm going to be talking about water filtration and specifically RV water filtration. When I did my little walkthrough of our RV, one of the things I showed people in the back was that we had a water filtration system added on. So I'm going to talk about that first, and then I'll compare it to some of the other options that you have. So here's our system, and you can see it's a 3 canister system, and this right here is a water pressure regulator. So the first thing I'll talk about is water pressure regulator. When we started out RVing, like a lot of people, we got one of these, and what this is, it's just a fixed 45 PSI water pressure regulator. And the reason that you need these in RVs is RV water pipes are not built to the same standards as they are in a house. A lot of the lines, if you get into your RV and get looking at the water lines, they're very narrow with pretty small connectors. Makes sense, it's a small space, and they're really rated up to about maybe 85 PSI, 90. I've heard some people say 110, but the problem is a lot of city water is higher than that, especially in places like California. They tend to run the water pressure really high. So if you're connected to 130, 140 PSI, over time you're going to spring leaks. And when you spring a leak in an RV, a lot of times it's somewhere where you can't see it, you don't even know what happened, and you've got water damage soaking into the floorboards or cabinets or who knows what. So people get one of these, which cuts your water pressure to 45. In my opinion, it's too low. Your shower's kind of a trickle. A lot of your water faucets are pretty weak at 45. So they also make, this is made by Valterra, they make a 55, which is better. The problem with these, though, is that over time they clog up. So this one almost stopped working after only a couple months of use because they get particle matter in them and hard water, lime and calcium buildup, and all they have is these like really little holes that are limiting the pressure, and that gets clogged up on the inside. A better option is this one, and I'll let you see it nice and close. And what this is, and you can see ours has a lot of, this is from hard water and lime and calcium, but this is a Watts adjustable pressure regulator. And you can see I have it set to 55 PSI, and first of all, it's nice just to be able to see how much pressure you have coming into your RV, and all you have to do to adjust it is turn this lever, and actually turning it in increases the pressure, turning it out lowers the pressure. This unit is maybe somewhere in the $60 to $70 range. I do not have the stainless steel one. They make one that's stainless that's about $180. You can also just get stainless hardware for this one, which obviously I don't have with the rust. This is about 2 years old. I've had it almost 2 years now. And it works great. If you're in a campground with lower pressure, you can adjust it wide open and get the most pressure you can. And otherwise you can just set it. I usually keep it 55 to 60, and that's about perfect. And if you need to, you can open it up, clean any of the buildup, lime, calcium, with a little bit of vinegar. It'll take it right out, and then put it back together. And you just 4 screws to open it. That's it. So this is a nice unit for a full-timer, and if you're a part-timer, then one of these, and like I say, if you look, Valterra also has a 55 PSI that I think is better than the 45 for general use, and it's still well below what your RV is going to require. So that's the water pressure regulator. I'm going to write an article on this, and I'll put links to where I bought this one. It's rvwaterfilterstore.com. I think you can also buy them on Amazon, and I'll put a link through. If you full-time, I think the adjustable one is well worth it. I think it's a nice piece to have, and we've gotten a lot of use out of it. Second thing, water filtration. Now, what a lot of people use is the Camco inline water filters. And I'm going to insert a pic here so you know what I'm talking about. The problem with the Camco units is, well, first they're about $20, which is fine. From what I've read, they last anywhere from about 45 to 60 days of use. So I think that's good for somebody who's just, a vacationer, a part-timer. But if you're full-timing, that means you got to replace the thing every month to a month and a half. And the reason you have to replace them is they get blocked up, and that lowers your water flow. Well, it gets a little pricey to have to spend $20-25 every month and a half to replace that water filter system. But the bigger problem is it's only a 100 micron filter. That means any particle that is 100 microns or smaller is going to pass through the filter. So a lot of the chlorine is going to come through, a lot of sediment, a lot of particles, cysts, amoeba, any of that kind of stuff is going to come right through that filter because 100 microns is relatively large. The advantage to using a system like this one with canisters is, first of all, the individual filters last longer. So you can see this one, this is a really dirty filter. This is a 5 micron particle or sediment filter. So all of this has been taken out of our water. This is what the filter looks like new. So you can see, I mean, it's snow white versus this one's brown now. This has been in there about 4 months. These filters are maybe $8 for a 2-pack. So, you get maybe 4 months out of it, and then you replace it with another one for $4. And it's a lot better value than replacing the Camco ones over and over and over. The other reason I really like it is because, like I say, 5 microns. You can also get even 1 micron filters. RV Water Filter Store sells 2 packs of 1 micron particle filters, sediment filters, particle filters for, I think, right about $8. And when I get a chance, I order from them because those are, the 1 microns are tough to find. But the 1 micron will even remove cysts from your water, which is it's nice to not have cysts in your drinking or bathing water. So why the other canisters? Well, we run a separate carbon filter. It's basically just one of these. Now this is a cheapie. So these ones only last maybe 4 to 5 months again, 6 months at most. But by running the particle filter first, you prevent this from getting clogged up with particle matter, so it can do its job just removing chlorine. And then they also make filters that last a lot longer than this. And I'm going to reference RV Water Filter Store a few times because he has everything. And I'm not affiliated with him. It's just who I went through. He sells these kits and sells high-end hoses and everything else. So for reference, RVWaterFilterStore.com is the way to go. So why would you want to have really small filtration, like 5 micron filtration? All this stuff, other than the obvious, which is that it gets in your drinking water and you're showering in it. Remember when I was talking about those really narrow tubes and small connections? All that stuff gets gunked up in those tubes and in those connections. So by allowing that in your RV, it gets in your sinks, your faucets, gets into your toilet. Any of your water-using appliances are going to clog up and break down sooner than if you're clearing them out. Your water heater is going to fill up with gunk because you're not using this. You're going to get gunk in your freshwater tank, sediment in the bottom of it. So this actually, in my mind, it is somewhat protective of other pieces of your RV. It's going to make them last longer. It's going to save you money in the long run. This entire unit, which just this bracket and 3 canisters, I think was less than $100. And if I had to do it again, I'd probably just get a 2 canister unit. The reason I originally got 3 was because I knew I wanted a particle filter, a carbon filter, and then they have special filtration for other things. If you're in a high lime or calcium area. They have them that have KDF in them that supposedly helps to, I don't think it actually removes that stuff, but it helps it run through the system better. There's filters that take out extra iron. There's filters for all kinds of stuff, to be honest. And I thought, well, I might want a specialty filter depending on where we're located, but to be honest, I haven't used it. I mostly use a particle filter in this one, and then I use a carbon filter here, and this is just empty. So if I had to do it again, I'd just get the two filter system, take up a little bit less room, but it doesn't hurt anything having all three here. So I'm going to turn off the water pressure, and then I'll just open this up so you can see what the filters look like on the inside, and that'll be it. Okay, I turned off my water pressure, and you can see, just looking at the gauge, it's all the way down. The nice thing about these is you used to need like a wrench to open them, and now you can just do it by gripping and twisting. There's still a little bit of water pressure in the system. And water. And what you want to be careful of when you take these out, they have a rubber O-ring on the inside, and if you're not careful, that'll pop out. And without this rubber O-ring, these won't seal, and it'll leak like crazy. So there's the carbon filter. I don't know if you can see on the inside, it's a little dirty. This one does some particles too, whereas this one, see, it's perfectly clean and heavy. And I'm going to use the old filters for just a couple more days before I swap them out, because then we're going to be taking a couple weeks out of the RV. Which brings me to the last point. When you're using water filters, if you use them part-time, and the reason why the Camco is good for part-timers is because you need filters that are what they call bacteriostatic, and that means that they won't allow bacteria to grow in the filter. So if you use traditional like house filters, which is what these are, and you're only RVing on the weekends, or maybe you only RV a few weeks a year, and then you want to reuse the same filter, it's all, once it's been used, it's full of water, it's going to be full of bacteria, and you'll get yourself sick. So you don't want to keep reusing those filters if you're a part-timer. If you're full-time, it makes all the sense in the world to use these, because we're using them all the time, and I usually swap them out if we're going to take a couple weeks off at some point, because I know the filters aren't going to be used. Bacteria will grow, and that's a bad thing. Your other option is to use all bacteriostatic filters, and they'll say if they are, and actually that's what KDF is for. KDF is a antibacterial additive to the filter. So these are pretty easy to screw back in. You don't want to over torque it, but just give it a good twist and you're good. The last thing a lot of people ask me about is reverse osmosis. People hear about reverse osmosis and how it gives you perfectly clean water. And there are reverse osmosis systems for RVs, and I don't recommend them. And here's why. Reverse osmosis uses kind of a filter and forces water through a membrane. And the water that gets through the membrane is super clean, and the rest of the water is called brine, and it's wastewater. And for every 1 gallon of clean water, you get 2 to 3 gallons of brine or wastewater. And where does that water go? If you're RVing, that means that you're basically running that water right into the sewer system if you're connected. If you're not connected, you got to figure out where you're going to dump the water. No matter what, reverse osmosis is very low flow. You don't get a lot of pressure from it, so you can't just run continually reverse osmosis. What you do is you fill your freshwater tank, and then you dump the brine water as the freshwater tank fills. Then you use your RV pump to give you that fresh water. Well, that means that if you have even just a 30-gallon freshwater tank, you're dumping like 90 gallons of water, and I think that's super wasteful. If you really feel strongly about clean water, they have smaller reverse osmosis systems that you can use just for your drinking water. And then they also have small distillers you can use just for your drinking water, and I think that makes more sense. I mean, taking a shower in relatively clean water with a particle filter, carbon filter, I think that's sufficient compared to needing, perfectly clean water for everything you do in an RV. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So that's my 2 cents on reverse osmosis. If you guys have any other questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to tell you anything I know or discuss anything with our system. And I will list the parts that we have. The only thing you really can't see here that's really helpful, this extra piece of hose I also got from a water filter store. They sell them in short links, which is handy because this is our inlet. This is just a Campco elbow, and then a 1 foot piece of hose that connects to this end of the water filter. And then coming out the other end, you've got the water pressure regulator, and then this is our just standard hose that runs to the water. Ideally, you'd run the water pressure regulator at the hose, but in this case, I just thought it was easier to have it connected right here, and it works just about as well. There's a little bit more pressure gets put on the hose that way, so the hose may not last as long. But if you have a good drinking water hose, the one we use is the Campco, and it seems pretty solid. They only last a few years, unless if you get a really expensive one like this one. RV Water Filter Store does make these in longer lengths. They're all either brass or stainless fittings, and they'll last a lot longer. They'll last 10, 15 years. So they're also about 5 times as much money. So it's an option, and again, I'll put the link to them in the comments as well, and you can take a look if you're interested. So hope you guys found this helpful and useful, and until next time, happy trekking.